Tom Hayden is a former California state senator and has been at the forefront of peace, justice, and environmental movements since the 1960s. He is now the director of the Peace and Justice Resource Center, and he joins us from Los Angeles. Mr. Hayden, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So we just came off a package about California. The primary, as you know, is so late in the process, it doesn't usually have as much of a punch, but this is different this election, and it could play a big role. So what do you expect on June 7th in California?
I think that's right. Years ago, we always complained that the process was front-loaded towards the East Coast and back-loaded towards California. Now it seems to go into reverse. I think in both parties the election will be close. I'm a Democrat and very concerned about therefore stopping the Republicans from winning California. That would be very unusual. I don't think it's going to happen. But the thing that concerns me is the divisions between Hillary and Bernie. They're both good people, and I'm concerned that we not have such a angry dispute between the two of those rivals. It's going to get very close, that we leave a lot of scar tissue and bruises. So I'm all about finding a united ticket and a united platform that works for California and works for the country. It could very well come down to June 7th. I mean, Hillary on paper is well ahead in terms of delegates, superdelegates, but Bernie continues to plug away. His message really resonates with people out here. There's just been too many foreclosures, too much tuition for students and the rest of it. And there's a way in which she could win the delegate count but lose the election unless she finds a way to win over Bernie and Bernie's base. I'm not predicting it would be that close, but I think it could be very close.
Yeah, and speaking of Bernie Sanders, you've praised him for speaking out on things like trade, but you haven't made an endorsement. And as you mentioned, Sanders is behind Clinton in delegates, but the fight is going to go on for quite some time. You know, so what does that mean for Hillary Clinton? I mean, the math is in her favor, and a lot of Sanders supporters, and I think you're speaking to this, say they're not going to vote for her if she's the candidate. I mean, what do you have to say to that?
Well, that would be a mistake of a lifetime. We have to have a united front that brings Bernie and Hillary together, that brings their constituencies together, and that avoids another close election or lost election, of which I've seen several too many in my own lifetime. It may be easier to answer if they come to some platform agreement. The agreement on who's going to be the ticket, who's going to be the second person, is up for grabs. But I've seen strange things. It's conceivable to me that Hillary could win the delegate count, and Bernie, the sort of the soul of the party, could be asked. He deserves to be asked if he wants to be run for vice president. He deserves it. But also they have to change and unify their positions to consolidate on trade, because that's a Bernie strong point. Hillary is not bad, but she needs to go farther, I think, because you're going to lose a lot of white males, not myself. You're going to lose a lot of working class people because of NAFTA, CAFTA, WTO, and now the Pan-Pacific Partnership. These policies on the environment and on working class life have left hundreds of thousands of people out of work here, and brought in a whole deluge of really low-paid immigrants who work almost in sweatshops in California. So there's got to be a lot of justice in bringing about equality in that relationship, and giving people jobs. I cannot understand for the life of me why a liberal party like the Democrats has been unable for 30 years to raise the standard of living of working class and white working class voters.
Right, and a lot of those voters that you referenced there are looking very much like they are the base of Donald Trump's support. I want to ask you about him. He said that there may be riots if he's denied the nomination at the GOP convention this summer. And of course, that takes us back to 1968, talk of a contested convention. Tell us about how this campaign echoes what you saw and experienced back in 1968.
Well, there's some differences, of course, but what I experienced with my colleagues in the Chicago conspiracy trial and the demonstrations at the convention was that it was a setup by the Republican Party from beginning to end. The FBI was feeding crazy information to the Chicago police, telling them that the Yippies would fill Lake Michigan with LSD, and the blacks on the south side would rise up with weapons and overthrow the government. Those are only two of the pieces of so-called intelligence that the FBI fed. But the FBI is very authoritative, and the police had a tendency to want to believe what they said. The mayor exploited it. The commission that analyzed the events afterwards, the Walker Commission, found that it was a police riot, not the other way around. But we went to trial. It took 7 years before we were completely acquitted. Today, Mr. Trump, I used to know this Donald Trump. I went, Donald, do you remember me? I went skiing with you. I know you. But he's run a campaign that caters to the most dangerous elements in our societies, insulted black people by the referencing to the Ku Klux Klan, women by his attacks on Megyn Kelly, journalists by, you know, his vows to, he wants to slug somebody all the time, get them off the stage. He's inciting people. We were just indicted for inciting people. But when you say all Mexicans coming over the border are rapists and murderers, does anybody remember the doctrine of you're not allowed to shout fire in a crowded theater? My goodness, that's what he does every night. And I don't know if it's entertaining to him, but he's promoting a strongman personality that is going to appear very dangerous, I think, to even middle-of-the-road voters. But why he's done it, he's trying to provoke something, and I wish he would call it off. My advice to the protesters is stand up to the bully. You're courageous to do that, but by all means, do not play into the hands of the bully. There's other ways to confront Mr. Trump than with a fist. You can try to indict him for incitement. We can take the laws that were used against myself and my friends, but he is inciting people, and I don't know why people don't understand that that's a crime. It is a crime, and a petition should be generated to incite Donald Trump for this behavior.
We'll see how that plays out. Mr. Hayden, in 30 seconds, the lessons of the late 60s, the messages that you and others tried to communicate to America, have those messages gotten lost here in 2016?
Well, time goes by, and certainly nobody remembers very much of anything. I've taught at UCLA labor studies. I'm teaching students who are 20 years old, and they're organizing car wash workers, and the 30s and the 60s are an ancient memory, but they do pay attention to what generations did before, and I can only think that it's crucial to study, converse with your elders, and elders, please listen to the younger ones coming along, because each new generation carries unique insights of its own. Look at how they've chosen Bernie, an old guy like me. So there's always something new happening, and those of us who are elders need to pay attention to the new.
Mr. Hayden, thank you so much. Tom Hayden.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Up next.